my friends are having a great time. It's not face to face, it's all online. We're all in our homes, miles away. Love them like my family, what can I say? My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. Don't call or text me, it's about to begin. I've been patient, time for me to chime in. Comfy clothes on, feeling just fine. I'm busy right now, it's crafting show time. My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. The host came on, they are truly a gem. Here for the show and to chat with my friends. Chat with each other about this and that. We share ideas, wisdom and other fun facts. My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. I see people from all over the place tuning in. I see people from Northern Illinois. Wow, Maryland again. A lot of people from Maryland. Awesome. Great. I see Miami, hot Texas. Oh boy. All righty. I see everyone tuning in. Good morning. It is Happy Monday. So we are back for yet another week. And if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and I host these daily morning sessions to just get you inspired and going in the morning. I like to do several different segments, and we like to change things up a bit just to put something, perhaps maybe a little giggle in your day and get you going. But I hope everyone here is having a fantastic time. Hey, Robin's Quilt Basket says that her granddaughter turned 7 today, and we celebrated all weekend. Awesome! Well, happy birthday to your granddaughter. And if you've got a birthday out there, don't forget to let us know. We definitely would like to celebrate it with you. And congrats to everyone out there and all the birthdays that we have for this month. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day and you had a great weekend. So we are here, and I am tuning in from what I would normally say is sunny South Florida. It still is a little bit sunny, but we're expecting some storms today. So it may be a little bit stormy and a perfect day to be in your craft room. Okay, so let's see. I think the chat is starting to settle in because guess what, guys? I think that what we need to do today is grab your favorite drink of whatever it is that you're having this morning. No judgment here, whether it be a little bit of cup of coffee or some soda, and get yourself into your nice cozy spot because you're going to spend this hour with me and we're going to have tons of fun. Awesome. I see people from Canada joining in. Thank you for joining. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. I think everyone is really chatty this morning. I think you're all ready to go. Awesome. So hold on. I think I hear something. Yep. I hear the food truck coming along, guys. Don't forget to get your snacks. You know, you've got your nice cup of coffee or your drink. Just go ahead and grab your favorite snack. We've got everything out there. All kinds of pastries and all kinds of things are in that truck. We've got coffee. We've got tea. We've even got donuts. And for you healthy people out there, we even have the carrot and the kale. That way you can make your smoothies and stay nice and healthy. So I hope you guys really enjoy that. And the best thing about this, there's no calories. It's all virtual. It's our pretend food truck. And we like to have a lot of fun with that. So go ahead, grab your favorite snack. Let us know what your favorite snack is. And yes, that was a unicorn. Okay, so once you have all of your coffee and your bagels and, you know, don't forget to pour yourself that cup because, you know, that's really important. You know, you'll get nice and settled in. Oh, Rebecca says you'll have your coffee with 3 creams and 2 Splendas. Oh, sure, absolutely. We will get that right for you. Butternut muffin, please. Yum. Yay! I think everyone likes the food truck. Asiago bagel. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm just still having my water. I was running a little late today, so I haven't made it time to get my coffee just yet. So I'm still with the water. We're still going, but we'll get there. I got to catch up real quick, right? Got a lot of things going on, got myself all distracted, and we started doing some other things. And then time crept up on me and I had to kind of run out. Okay. Ooh, sticky buns. Yummy. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, your grandson is 15 today. Wow. We'll be blessed to still have him. He was 5. They found a brain tumor on him and they can't be removed. Wow, that's amazing, Barbara. Well, congrats and many, many more birthdays to him for him to come, you know? Awesome. That's amazing. I'm so happy. Alrighty, so let's see. I think we have settled in on the chat. It's starting to settle down here. So let me grab one more sip. Gotta kind of clear my throat there, and let's see. So we've got a brand new week and some new projects here to come, and I thought that I'd start today off with a really quick and easy project that I kind of wanted to make selfishly for myself as well. It's a little project that's just kind of something that's very practical. A lot of people can use, and I think it's going to be great. So really, really simple to do. As you can see here, it's very, very small. So you're wondering, what in the heck is this little gadget? Well, this is something that really is going to help me stay a little organized, hopefully help my son as well. And it will really allow you to kind of bring stuff together. So let me grab my I'm going to use my little folder, but you can also use a notebook. And this folder is about 8.5 by 11. And I can take my little strap here that has this little elastic, and I'm going to just put it right on top here. And not only will this help to keep my folder closed and in place, but I can also grab, let's say, a little pen and just kind of stick it in my pen holder here. And it's going to hold my pen for me. Let me turn it around so you guys can see that. So it's just a little practical thing that, it's great to use. I have my son who's going to be hopefully starting school in the fall, and I'm starting to get things that are going to help him to get all organized. So he will have a little strap that's going to go around his notebooks, and it'll have his little pens and things around here. Help to keep that all together, because you all know that the pens always go to the bottom of the bag and you can never find them when you need them, right? So this is a great way to kind of keep that together. And I can put multiple pens on here and markers or anything else that I need. But I think it's a nice way to kind of stay a little organized. And then it'll wrap around the notebook, or you can wrap it around maybe just the cover of the book. That way you keep the notebook open, or I'm just going to use it for my folders for whenever I go out on the go. Maybe you're going to a little class for crafting or going to an expo or something, and you always need something. It's a great way to kind of keep it together. So I wanted to go ahead and make this. It's just a quick little project, and I think it's going to help a lot of people just kind of stay a little organized. So we're going to do that in just a few. But before we even get to that, let's get to some of our crafting news, because we've got so much to tell you about. So let's switch over to that segment and let's give you that information. Okay, and so for our crafting news today, we're going to go over to Breckenridge, Minnesota, where we have a group of 15 to 18 women who meet once a month in a local church to sew quilts. Now, these are not for themselves. These are for people in need all over the world. They're led by a lovely lady by the name of Dell, who's been quilting since the 1970s. Now, these women pour their hearts into every single stitch. They meet from September through May, and in just the past year, they've completed over 64 quilts. They filled 27 backpacks with school supplies and packed 26 care kits. Isn't that amazing? Now, their handmade gifts have gone to shelters, Home for Boys, families after house fires, and even local high school seniors. And get this now, Crystal, one of the most faithful quilters, is 97 years young. Can you believe that? That's just so amazing. Now, she still shows up to sew all the time, and she says that she doesn't know what she would do without her, being around and helping out. So I think that, that's amazing. 97 years old, and she is still just loving the craft and helping other people. That's just really amazing. Now, most of their fabric is donated, and sometimes they get them from people cleaning out their closets, sometimes from thrift shops, and each quilt is displayed at the church before it's being sent out into the world to just kind of show a symbol of hope and love that's stitched with care. I just think that's an amazing story. I don't know. I really thought that one was a heartfelt story, and I thought these were just proof that women are, amazing. They're just amazing. So, okay, let's go over to Oregon, because we've got some more stories for you. So in Oregon, we have over 5,000 kids that are in foster care. And when they age out of the system, many face big challenges like finding housing and managing money. But Nikki Young, who spent most of her childhood in foster care, discovered her path through sewing. And she just has done something really amazing. Nikki got help. She got help from a program called Youth Villages. And this is where she learned life skills on how to handle money, pay bills, and go to college. And that support has helped her to move into her own apartment and take some college classes for free. Now, is that her big success story? I'm getting tongue-tied this morning. I think I need some more coffee. Well, I would say no. She started her very own sewing business, and she called it Grandma Nikki. I think that's her story there. And she says that she The name comes from all the love and all the things that she has that are vintage. She said she always felt like an old soul. Isn't that amazing? She loved the 1950s and the old-fashioned styles. Now, she started sewing in middle school, but she didn't really take it seriously until the pandemic. And then during the lockdown, she made clothes for fun. And when a friend told her that she should sell them, she tried it. And her first pieces sold right away, and she's been busy sewing and selling ever since. That's really just a really amazing story and a nice way to, build up entrepreneurship and just start something new. Now, Nikki is open about how tough it is to start a business without family support. She says that she doesn't have parents to lean on for money, so she always has to be careful and make sure that she has something saved just in case. Isn't that just amazing? So her advice to young people that are aging out of the foster care is saying, get a job, start saving, and believe in your journey. I think that's amazing. She really reminds us that sewing, it isn't really just about the fabric. It's about building a life one stitch at a time. And I think that's a really cool story. Okay, and we have now a little mystery to tell you guys about. Because, it looks like it was the end of an era, but maybe it's the beginning of a new chapter. And that's for the Joann fabric stores. Now, today is, now we are in the June month, so all of the Joann stores have now closed. But they did leave us with a little bit of a message. So most of us, know Joann's. That was our craft store. That's where we went to for many, many years. And they have shut their doors down. But instead of saying a final goodbye, they left a heartfelt message on their website that hints something a little bit more. Now, the banner reads, "Thank you for crafting with us." Okay? That's in bold letters. They're thanking us for everything. And then it goes on to say, for generations, Joann has been honored to be part of your creativity, your quilts, costumes, school projects, and handmade moments of love. It has been our joy to serve makers and dreamers across the country. We're stitching something new behind the scenes and can't wait to share what's next. So I don't know if you guys have gone to the Joann's website. If you type in Joann's and you go to their website, they left that message and it left us a little mysterious on there. So it's saying, stay tuned for exciting news about the future of Joann. What that means, I don't know. Are they relaunching? Are they going to have a new online brand? Maybe a partnership? It has crafters from all over the place, just perplexed and just wondering, what is it that they have stirring up in there? So if you want to check it out yourself, go ahead and visit the joanns.com website and let me know in the chat, what do you think they're up to? Because that was really a mysterious way to end an era when you're shutting down that store. So I don't know, but every stitch that we do tells a story and every crafter has one to share. So we don't know what their story is just yet, but it's something mysterious going on there. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so let's get on to our project now, because I wanted to go ahead and give you that news and leave you with that little bit of a mystery. So it kind of left me perplexed. I know that. Alrighty, so this again is the project that we're going to be making. It's a very simple little project. Nice little pen holder with the elastic that will kind of latch on to your notebook, a folder, anything that you would like. And it's really super simple to make, and we're going to kind of make that really quick. So first thing that you're going to need, you're going to cut 2 pieces of fabric. And again, you can just grab a little fat quarter, a little scrap project that you have. I just used some scraps for something that I had just on hand. You really don't need all that much material here. And again, you're going to cut 2 pieces here at 2.5 inches by 7.5. So 2 pieces of that. Let me just get that here. There we go. So I've got 2 pieces there. Then you're going to need 1 piece here of 2.5 inches by 9.5. And then you're going to need some lightweight interfacing here. And I've just got 2 tiny little pieces that I cut out. Again, I just used, this is a fusible interface. You can grab it from the dollar store. It's great for these type of projects. Absolutely amazing and relatively low cost. Okay, and then you're going to need 1 piece that you're going to need to cut out at 2 by 7 inches, and then you're going to need 1 at 2 inches by 4.25. So again, 2 pieces here, 2.5 inches by 7.5. 1 piece of your fabric, 2.5 by 9.5. You're going to need 1 piece of interface, 2 inches by 4.25. And then you're going to need 2 inches by 7 inches. Then you're going to need a piece of elastic. And I cut my piece of elastic at 11.5 inches. But you really will also need to look at the notebook that you're picking. So if the notebook is a little bit smaller, you know, you'll have to cut the elastic down a little bit. So, you know, depending how tight you want it to be, this is a folder that measures 8.5 by 11, and the 11.5 inch is perfectly fine because it fits it nice and snug and has a little bit of wiggle room here as well. Not too loose and not too tight. Okay, so these are all the materials that you're going to need. I'm going to bring over my little ironing board here. And let me just move these over to the side. There we go. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my pieces here that's cut at 7.5 inches by 2.5. And I'm going to go ahead, just give it a quick little press. And then I'm going to grab my interface here, and I'm going to turn my fabric to the wrong side of the fabric. And of course, we've got these fusible interface. So you've got one side with the little glue dots. The other one is nice and smooth. You want the glue dots to be down on the wrong side of the fabric so we can then lay this out. And I like to kind of just put it in the middle here. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my iron, and we're just going to fuse that into place. Okay, and I'm going to flip this over and give it a nice little press on the top as well. Okay, quick and easy, right? Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our longer piece here. And I want you to first give it a quick little press to make sure you've got all the wrinkles out. Then I want you to take it and I want you to just fold it in half. Just line up your raw edges here and fold that in half here. And you can just give it a quick little press just to kind of mark that. And then you're going to open it up, wrong side up. And you're going to take that smaller piece of interface and you're going to lay it on one side of the fabric. And I know you have that fold there, so you want to just kind of line it up in the middle here. Here's the fold. So I have about 1/4 inch after the fold where the interface is. And of course, glue dots down. Go ahead and let's put that into place here. Okay. And I'm just going to fold this again. I want to keep my little crease here. Here we go. Okay. All right, now let's see here. Got a little bit of fray going on here. Not too worried about it, but now all we need to do is going to cut out these little frayed pieces. They're just going to drive me nuts. Little OCD on my end here. Okay. So now you're basically just going to build it, right? So you can see on here, we've got the straps in between, we've got the fabric piece on the back, and then we have the little pocket. So this little fold here is going to serve as your pocket. Now, one thing that you can do if you have a little bit of embellishment, you can add something a little to this fold if you wanted to add something. But I'm going to kind of keep it very simple because I want this to be really practical and not so much on the fancy side. This is something that's just really going to help keep the pens organized and in place, right? So I'm going to lay down my fabric. Oops, sorry, here we go. Lay down the fabric with the interfacing, wrong side up. And what I'm sorry. First of all, let's grab the piece with no interface. I want you to do one thing real quick. I want you to fold this in half longwise. Not the whole thing. We're just interested in the tip here. I want you to find that middle point and just grab the iron, and I want you to go ahead and give that a quick little press here. We just need to find that middle. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. So find that middle here. Don't worry about the middle section. We don't need to find the middle for that. You just needed to find the two ends right here. So we have that middle point laid out. And then I want you to put this right side down, so wrong side is facing up. And I want you to grab some clips. I have quite a few here. And I want you to grab the elastic and just kind of center that into place, okay? So you want to have this centered, and just go ahead and center that here on the inside, and then go ahead and just clip that into place. And then just flip this over to the other side, grab the other end of the elastic, and clip that into place. Just center it with that center fold. Okay, now you're going to have this big, you move that over a bit. You're going to have this big piece here. Don't worry about it. Just kind of fold it over. If you want, you can kind of pin it and kind of keep it out of your way. So just leave it like that. And then what we're going to want to do is now we're basically building this. So you're going to want to take this and you want to put your pocket right on top. So you've got your pocket right on top there, right? And you're going to want to put this together. So these two are going to go together. And let me just move this a little closer to me here. And I want to build this in place. So what I want to do is now clip this along, just clip it right on top. And I'm going to remove the clips here. And just readjust it here. And then you're putting this wrong side up, right? Because we're going to flip this around. So everything's going to be turned inside out. So just adjust that. Just try to keep your edges lined up together. Okay. And if you need to put some more clips, you can. I like to kind of put it right where the little fold is. Just add a little clip there. And let's do the other side here. There we go. Okay. So I'm just using 4 little clips. You can use as many clips as you feel comfortable with to make sure that it doesn't move around on you. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and sew this into place. And then we're going to turn this inside out. And we should have a really cute little pen holder. So let me just double check, because I think I just moved the fabric a little bit. Yes, I did. Hold on. Let me reclip this. So sorry, guys. my elastic kind of moved on me and I bumped it with my finger. So let me just readjust here. There we go. Okay. Those things just kind of happen, right? But that's okay. And the elastic kind of gets in the way. Just kind of make sure that it stays somewhere in the middle and it does not kind of get in the way when you're sewing this together. So if you need to pin it a little bit, you can do that as well, just so it kind of stays. I just kind of flatten it with my hands and then I'll just adjust. There we go. Okay, so you should be seeing the wrong side of the fabric all the way around. And I'm going to move this over and bring my sewing machine in. And we're going to give this about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around. Now, you will need to leave a little bit of a hole, so you can mark it with a pen or you can just grab, let's see, a couple of pins here. And you'll have to decide where you want to leave the little gap so that you can turn it over. It is a little bit of a tight fit, but you can flip it over. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and put a little pin in place, just kind of a reminder for myself not to sew in this area, because this is the area that I'm going to use to kind of flip this over. Now, I picked the area that doesn't have the little pocket because it's a little bit easier. That's going to be a little bit more bulky, so it's going to be harder for me to flip over. So I'm just going to use this little area here. You definitely don't want to be close to the corners here because you'll have a more difficult time trying to bring that in. Okay, so let's go over to our sew cam. Again, we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And let's see if I can adjust this just a bit, guys. Looks like it moved a little. There we go. Okay. And so again, I'm pulling my threads to the back. I'm going to go ahead and just line this up. And I just want a 1/4 inch seam just all the way around. Let me just grab my sewing foot. That seems to disappear on me all the time. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle. Let me bring my little legs down here on the table because it seemed a little wobbly. Okay, and I think we're ready to go. Just about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to go all the way around. And when we get to that little area where we put the pins, we're going to stop and skip that area and leave that open. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, as you approach your clip, just go ahead and stop it and take that clip right off. Just make sure that you are not sewing the little elastic piece. So make sure that that is out of the way. I can kind of feel it with my hands a little bit. So just do that. Okay, mine's kind of adjusted just a tad, but that's okay. We'll kind of move it as we go. And then as I approach the corner, I'm just going to stop just about maybe a little bit of a little less than a 1/4 inch, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and remove my clip here. And then I'm going to go ahead, leaving the needle down, just lift up the presser foot and then just go ahead and pivot. And then you just continue on the other side. Now this is going to have where the elastic is. You definitely want to be a little careful. There's a little bit of bulk there going on. Okay, and then I'm coming very close to the pin. So I'm going to give it a couple more stitches. And I'm going to turn. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just remove this pin, but I'm not going to pass this area. So let me just get it out of my way. And then I'm going to, whoop, my little pin fell down. 1 second. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to back stitch here just to kind of reinforce this area, because that's the area that I'm going to be flipping it over. So it's going to be a little bit of a pull there, and I don't want my stitches to pop, so I want to go ahead and back stitch. And then I'll do forward just one more time, and I'm going to go ahead and stop and bring up my needle, raise my presser foot. I'm going to cut my threads right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and skip over to where my other needle is. I can go ahead and remove that one. Got my finger in place there. And I want to line up my presser foot with that. Oops, I'll probably have to take that clip off as well because it's a little too close. So let me just grab this needle, this little pin here. There we go. That's better. And I'm just going to realign this again. And then go ahead and continue. There we go. Again, making sure that the elastic stays out of the sewing area because you don't want to sew in the elastic. So I'll do a couple more stitches here. Again, leaving the needle down. Presser foot up, go ahead and pivot it and bring down that presser foot. I'm going to remove my clip here. And then again, we have the elastic underneath here, so it's going to be a little bit of a bulk, but it shouldn't be too bad. And then you can go ahead and continue. And there we go. All right, so now needle up. Presser foot up, go ahead and let's cut those threads a little bit here. And then I want you to just grab a little pair of scissors and I want you to cut the corners because we're going to remove that excess bulk that we have there. Now be very careful with this because you don't want to cut your stitches. You're just cutting the corners just to eliminate a little bit of that bulk. And if you have a little excess bulk on the end, you can cut that off as well. As long as again, you do not cut your stitches. Alrighty, I think that is good. So we barely cut anything off. As you can see, there's going to be little insy-bincy pieces of little triangles that you're going to have. This is all you're cutting off of the edges. They're tiny, tiny pieces. You know, you don't want to cut too much into it. You're just reducing a little bit of a bulk so that when you turn it over inside out, you want to make sure that your edges are going to be nice and pointy on the end. So now go ahead and go to that little area where we left that little hole, right? You can see that here and use that to turn all of this inside out. So it's a little tight, but just work it little by little because this is quite small. And then if you have a little purple thing or a little chopstick, or you can use anything that you have available to help you out, go ahead and grab that. And you'll see here, this is why we backstitch, because we're putting a lot of stress, especially on this one side. And then you can kind of use the elastic to help pull it out as well. And just go ahead and keep getting all of it out until you can get the whole thing. Just takes a little bit, but you can definitely do it. And you can make this even wider if you didn't want it to be the 2.5 inch here. You can make this much wider if you want. You don't necessarily have to follow these measurements. You do if you want it to come out exactly like this, you can certainly do that. But if you want it to be a little bit wider and maybe hold some more pens, or maybe you want to stick a little calculator in there, you know, whatever it is you want to put in that pocket, you know, just measure it to the size of whatever you want to put in there. And then you'll be able to just kind of, you know, adjust it. Okay, so mine is coming out here. There we go. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use my little chopstick here, and I'm going to just kind of use it to get my corners out. So just kind of poke those out here. And then I'm going to go to the bottom. and do that as well. Crystal's asking, can it be made with a top to fold over pens with a snap closure? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, you can definitely, if you don't want it, leave it open like this. You can easily add a snap right here and it'll snap it there. And that will definitely close that up. So what Crystal's asking is, instead of having this open like this, and it is possible, you know, if your pens don't have this little lip here to kind of keep it in place, and maybe you have pens that don't have anything and you're afraid of it falling out, you can easily add a snap on here, or maybe even add a little lip to kind of flip over on it to kind of keep it nice and closed. So definitely you can do that. You would have to kind of center your snap here, and you would have to add that snap before you kind of put this together. So you can definitely add the flap and then add the little snap right in the middle. So you would have to do that before you construct this together, because then you'd have to kind of sew in the flap with it, and then you would have to leave a little bit of space for you to be able to make the fold, right? But yeah, definitely. You can definitely do that. You can also embellish this any way that you'd like. You know, if you want to have and put maybe some embroidery on here and put the person's initials, that would definitely work as well. Yes, Connie, Velcro. Velcro would work as well. You can do that too. Add your piece of Velcro right here and onto your fabric, line it up, and you could use that and it'll, you know, secure that in place. But this is just, you know, a simple one. My pens have the little lip, so it kind of stays nice and secure, because if I can kind of put it upside down and give it a shake, they don't fall out because the little lip is holding it in place and it's nice and snug in here. But if you want to add other things like a calculator or pencil maybe, you know, then you can definitely add the flap. You can put a little snap. You can put some Velcro instead. You can even put a little button with a little bit of an elastic to make it a little loop. You can do that as well. And that'll hold everything in place, makes it nice and practical, and keeps everything together. And I kind of like to have, you know, things that I can take on the go. And this is something that maybe I have a project that I'm working on, some notes I want to take. And so it keeps everything all in one place. Awesome. So yeah, Wanda says, great idea, Crystal. It will keep everything inside. Exactly. Exactly. It's something that's really nice and practical for you to be able to use. Okay. So let me get back over here. And I was turning my little ends inside out. Let me pop this last one here. And you want to kind of take your time when you're doing the corners. You know, sometimes you'll have a couple of little pieces that might be a little difficult, but try to get the corners out as best as you can. This is where that bulk comes in. So the whole reason we were cutting those tiny little triangles on the ends here is because then when you flip them inside out, it's got all this bulk on the inside. And so because you cut that little piece of bulk out, it helps it to become a little bit more square here on the bottom. So just kind of keep poking it with your little chopstick or purple thing or whatever it is that you're using. Just make sure you don't poke too hard. You don't want to pop those stitches open, right? Okay, so it looks like I've got my corners nice and out. And it's a little wrinkly here, and we still have this hole here. So now let's go over. I'm going to bring over my iron, and what I want to do is just kind of give this a quick little press. Let me pull my clips over to the side. Got to keep this workstation clean and going because it will drive me bonkers. All right, I'm going to grab my little ironing board here. And you just got to kind of work around this little piece of elastic. I really don't want to iron this, so I just kind of keep it on top here. So what I'm going to do on this side opening here, just put your fingers into place here. It's not a big opening, so if you just put your fingers in and you kind of give it a little pull, it's going to fold on its own. You don't even have to adjust it. If you find if your hole's a little bit bigger, you might have to kind of tweak your fabric a little bit more just to get it nice and lined up. But if you made a small hole, it's going to be very easy to do. And then now just kind of laying that flat, I'm going to start on the bottom here where all this bulk is and just kind of work my way up. And then just iron this in place. And then I like to kind of just flip it over, flip the elastic back again. And I'm going to iron this side as well. Again, making sure that this is going to stay nice and closed. I want to give this side a press. Okay. And there we are. So now I'm going to just bring this over to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to give it a quick little top stitch about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, just to kind of secure this nice in place. And let's also close up that hole. So let's go back over to our sewing machine. And again, when you're sewing this, just be careful to kind of get the little elastic out of your way. Let's see, Connie says use school colors and monogram with school letters. Oh, yes. Would make a great gift for students. Add the notebook with a coordinating cover. This one I'm going to try for sure. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. You know, I know it's a little early. We're just getting into summer, but you know, back to school is going to be here before you know it. And these school supplies, as expensive as they get, you know, you got to do your best to, you know, kind of get them to not lose their supplies. So, you know, you help to organize them any way you can and use it for yourself as well, right? You definitely want to be able to kind of use these things to help yourself get organized. And so I'm going to come here and I'm just going to line this up at about 1/8 of an inch and just do a quick little sew right there. Alrighty, let me grab again. My little sewing foot likes to run away from me. Okay, so needle down and we're ready to go off to the races. Here we are. Now, this is where it becomes a little difficult here. Sometimes your bulk, and I started on the very end. I should have started a little bit more on the inside, but I just have to be really careful because it's so bulky here. I want to make sure my machine kind of picks that up. But it'll get going. You can also use a little leader if you need to. But here we are. You want to just keep that nice and tight. I don't want to go very far here. Now, you got your pocket here. Mine kind of just went over it like no problem, but be careful if you're sewing it this way. Make sure your pocket doesn't get stuck and hung up on your needle. You could just kind of flipped it over and did it the opposite way, but I like to make things a little bit more difficult. So try not to do that. Flip it the other way. That way the pocket doesn't get in the way. Even though mine didn't give me any problems, but you just might have one. So just be careful with that. And then just kind of go all the way around to the other end. It really gives it a nice finish when you're doing the top stitch. And then once you get here, just go ahead and flip that around. And I have to be very careful because I don't want to sew down my elastic. So adjust your elastic so it's out of the way. I have the other side hanging on the end here, but I don't want that elastic to be sewed. So let's go ahead and do this side. And again, I'm going to lift this up a little bit, kind of scoot it over just a tad because there is a lot of bulk here. The other thing you can do if you have that bulky seam little product, you can take that out. This would be a perfect spot to use that as well. Here we go. And then I'm going to go ahead, lift up that presser foot, give it a quick little pivot and put that back down, keeping my elastic out of the way at all times. And then go ahead and sew all the way back up. There we go. And I'm getting towards that end. I'm going to do One more pivot. Bring down that presser foot and move that elastic out of the way. And let's go across. Oop. There we go. Okay, then I'll go ahead and take this off, and we need to just cut our threads. Lots of little threads to cut here. So go ahead and clean that up. Make sure your threads are not there. And you are just about done with your project here. So now just go ahead and take the elastic and move it to the back. And you have a nice little pen holder here with the little pocket that you can now add to your notebook, your folder, whatever it is. Again, just make sure that depending on the size of your notebook, oops, I have my cards in the way here. You want to make sure that the elastic size that you cut is going to fit the notebook size that you have. So you want to be able to do that. And then just go ahead and grab, I don't know, some pens here. Let's see. Make sure they're not open. And I can just stick these pens on here and it'll work just fine. Okay, so you have anything, you can do pens, you can do other things. Let's see here. You can actually even do a little pair of scissors, although they won't stay in. So that where this is where I believe it was Connie was talking about the little flap. You can do that as well and kind of hold in your scissors or whatever it is that you want to keep in this little pocket. I can probably even put in my snips in here. There we go. That's pretty cool, right? It'll hold that in place. And so it has everything. It keeps you organized, and it's just a nice little thing to kind of help you not lose your supplies. So I think that, you know, it's a quick little project. It's something that you can use. And yes, quick and easy, you're sold. Yes, absolutely. 1 minute tips. And it's something that's really practical, which is what I really like. And you can kind of take them off and you can use them on any notebook, right? And it's really nice that you can kind of change up the fabric. You can add some embroidery on here. If maybe you've got a Cricut and some vinyl and you want to throw something on there as well, you can do that as well, right? Very practical, very easy to do. Didn't even take us the full hour to get this done, right? So, and I did a lot of talking, so you'd probably do it in like maybe half hour, maybe even 20 minutes. Who knows? Okay, so I think that was our little project, and we have a couple other segments that we want to get to. So, yes, great craft fair item. Yes, Sue, absolutely. For those of you who have a little craft fair coming up and maybe you're selling some things, this is certainly something that you can sell. Doesn't use a lot of materials, and you can definitely get this going. And there's tons of really pretty fabrics that you can use out there, and people will just adore them. Now, the elastic, one thing to point out, the elastic width that I'm using is about 3/4 of an inch of the elastic. I do not use a very thin piece of elastic because I think that's just a little too flimsy and it kept kind of moving around. So I really didn't like that. You had to use a wider one. This is 3/4 of an inch. You can use a 1 inch piece of elastic. That's the width of the elastic. And then that, I think, helps keeps it nice and steady so it doesn't flop around on you. Make it smaller, a lip balm holder. Yes, there you go, Faker McFay. Now we're thinking here out of the box here, right? There's so many things that you can use with this, and it just makes it so practical. So guys, I mean, I know that these are the little projects I show, and then you guys can kind of just really go crazy with this. But if you end up making some of these, let me know. Put it on our Facebook group because we have little projects that everyone does. That would be really amazing to see what you guys come up with and what versions and what fabrics you use. I really love to see that. Awesome. Yes, Lisa, really like this and easy to do. It is. It's super simple to do and, very practical, which is what I like. Okay, guys, let's get over to our segment because we got our inspirational quote of the day and we want to get that out to you. So let's take a look what our inspirational quote of the day is today. Okay, so today's quote of the day is, each new project is a chance to grow, to explore, and to share beauty with others. Isn't that amazing? So definitely we will continue to grow our sewing skills with every single little project. You start off with the small projects and you just continue going. And, sometimes even after doing this a long time, you still love the small projects because they've got like instant gratification of getting something done, practical, and that's something that you can use. Awesome. You love that quote, Robin? Alrighty. Okay, so we just have a couple minutes left. So let's go ahead and move over to our top comedy 5 and get a little giggle in our day. Okay? Alrighty, so today's top comedy 5 is crafting injuries nobody talks about. Let's see what those are. Let's start with number 5. Nearly lost a toe to falling pinking shears. Ouch. Yeah, that may have happened one time or two, right? Alrighty, number 4. Twisted your back lunging for falling Christmas fabric. Oh yeah, definitely. I think we've all done that. We've got our piles and piles of fabric, but when one is falling, we really reach out for it and you can really pull your back on that. So be careful with that one. All right, number 3. Accidentally ironed your finger trying to flatten a seam. Ooh, yeah, I've seen some of those injuries and they can be a little serious, guys. Be real careful out there. Alrighty, crafting injuries nobody talks about. Let's look at number 2. Got your hair caught by a circular knitting machine. Yeah, guilty. I think I showed you guys that one with my short, right? Yeah, hair up, like I did today. Hair up when you're working with the knitting machines. Alrighty, and our crafting injury no one talks about, number 1 is losing magnetic eyelashes to magnetic wrist pin holder. Yes, that is true. Did not happen to me. I don't use magnetic eyelashes, but you know who you are out there. That did happen to someone. And yes, be very careful with those, guys. It can definitely happen. Yes. Oh my goodness. Was that hilarious? But you be very careful with those magnetic guides because you just never know what's going to stick to your magnets, right? Okay. Yes, you're crying, laughing. Okay, I'm glad you guys all enjoyed that. Alrighty, well, I hope I was able to put a little bit of giggle in your day. And that is about it, guys. Our hour is up. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. I really hope you have a fantastic day. And I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.